Welcome back to Coins Info Vault. Even a simple coin can have an awesome story. Today, we're looking at 4 Queen Elizabeth II coins from 1979 that tons of people have seen but barely anyone's really checked out up close. Even coins that have been through the ringer, with dark spots, scratches and years of wear, can grab a collector's attention because of rare versions, strange minting errors, and high demand. So let's start with the first coin. This coin might already be hanging out at your place, hidden in an old biscuit tin, a dusty coin jar, or some forgotten collection. At first look, it seems worn out, tired, and almost forgotten. The surface is dark, the details are faded, and the black patina makes it look like just another old copper coin. Most people wouldn't even bother to take a second look. But experienced collectors know that some of the best finds come from coins most people just ignore. Today, we're taking a look at a 1979 UK 1 new penny with Queen Elizabeth II on it. This coin, been through a lot, and has developed a deep black patina naturally over the years. That dark color showed up because it was exposed to air moisture and got handled all the time. Some folks might think a blackened coin isn't worth much, but collectors usually see it in a whole different way. Natural agging tells a coin's story. A coin that's naturally toned looks totally different from one that's been cleaned or scratched up, and collectors can definitely tell the difference when they look closely. The year 1979 was a big deal in British history. It was a time of major change across the UK, and millions of 1-penny coins were swapping hands every day in shops, markets, buses, and post offices. Hardly anyone would have guessed that, decades later, people would still be digging through them. People often look for those same coins with odd variations, cool minting mistakes, and well-kept examples that have made it through years of use. The coin's design is something a lot of folks instantly recognize. The front shows a classy portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Arnold Machin. His image became one of the most famous designs on British coins, symbolizing stability and consistency for much of the Queen's reign. Around the portrait, there's the usual inscription naming her Majesty, a design that's been known to generations all over the UK and beyond. Flip the coin and you'll see the famous crown portcullis with chains, a symbol closely linked to the Palace of Westminster. Underneath, it says 1 new penny, reminding us that Britain had only recently switched to decimal currency a few years before. Even after all these years in use, this design on the back is still one of the most recognizable in modern British coins. The coin is made of bronze, which gives it that nice copper color collectors look for. But after being used for over 40 years, the bronze changes. Being out in the open causes the surface to slowly darken. Some coins turn a chocolate brown, others get reddish hues, and some, like the one in today's story, develop a really dark black coating. When that color shows up naturally over many years, collectors often see it as part of the coin's story. Rather than viewing it as damage, this coin clearly spent a lot of years in everyday use. The raised parts of Queen Elizabeth II's portrait show some wear, the lettering is still readable, and the edges have rounded off from being passed around so much. The backside also shows genuine signs of circulation, but the main design is still easy to make out. It's exactly the kind of coin most people would just spend without a second thought. That's where seasoned collectors think outside the box. Instead of just checking the color or condition, they start looking for tiny details that most folks might miss. They check the date closely. They study the lettering under good light. They examine the rim, the flat parts, and every bit of the design, hunting for anything unusual that could make one coin stand out from millions of ordinary ones. Even though most 1979 1 new penny coins are pretty common, collectors keep on looking for real mint-made variations and striking mistakes. They include off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, clipped planchets, broad strikes, strike-through errors, and sometimes double design features that happen during production. Every real mint error tells a little story about a moment at the Royal Mint when something didn't go exactly as planned. Some collectors even line up several 1979 pennies side by side because small differences in die wear, letter sharpness, or how the coin was struck can reveal cool varieties. Not every weird coin turns out to be valuable, but checking them out closely is still one of the best parts of the hobby. A lot of cool finds started with someone just wondering, hey, does this one look different from the rest? Picture cleaning out an old family house after years. You open a drawer and find a small tin full of loose British coins collected ages ago. Most of them are worn, dark, and pretty ordinary. Then, as you go through them, you notice a shiny black 1979 one new penny. Catches your eye. Instead of just tossing it into the change jar, you take a closer look. Under a bright light, the date pops out, the design stands out against the dark surface, and you start checking every little detail. That simple choice to take a closer look at one old coin is exactly how a lot of collectors stumble on their coolest finds. Stories like this happen way more often than most people think. Rare varieties and real mint mistakes have been uncovered in inherited collections, old piggy banks, estate sales, flea markets, antique shops, and even regular jars full of loose change that have been sitting untouched for years. The cool thing is, no one knows where the next treasure will pop up. When collectors check out a coin like this, a few things count. Condition matters, but originality is just as important. Most collectors prefer a coin with its natural look rather than one that's been polished until it shines too much. They want to see real age, not some fake shine. That's why a naturally aged black penny usually gets more respect than one that's been heavily cleaned and has damaged surfaces. If your 1979 one new penny seems to have a rare mint error or a notable variety, it might be worth getting a specialist to take a closer look. Exceptional verified examples with rare mint features have caught strong interest from collectors, and some top pieces have sold for over £4,800 when rarity, demand, and originality line up. Things just came together. While regular circulated coins are pretty common, it only takes one authentic mint error or a rare variety to totally change a coin's value. If you think you found an interesting 1979 penny, here's the most important tip: never clean it. A lot of people think making an old coin shiny will boost its value, but usually it does the opposite. Cleaning can leave permanent scratches, strip away the original look, and make collectors less interested. Instead, just hold onto it. Hold the coin by its edges only and keep it in a protective case away from moisture and chemicals. If the coin looks especially odd, think about getting it professionally checked by a well-known grading service or an experienced coin expert. Authentication helps figure out if an unusual feature is actually a real mint error or just damage that happened after the coin started circulating. If you ever decide to sell an important coin, go through reputable dealers, established auction houses, or trusted online coin marketplaces. These spots are usually the best places to find serious collectors. Like this old bronze penny shows us, value isn't always obvious right away. Sometimes the most overlooked coin in a collection ends up being the one everyone wants to chat about. A worn surface, years of use, and a plain look can hide an amazing story that's been waiting over 40 years to be uncovered. Now let's move on to the next coin, the 1979 UK 2 new pence. This is one that nearly everyone in Britain has held in their hand. At some point, it went through supermarkets, corner shops, buses, cafes, and millions of everyday transactions. Since it was so common, most people never thought collectors would find it interesting. But nowadays, certain 1979 2 new pence coins get looked at way more closely than you'd think, because hidden varieties and real minting mistakes have turned some of these ordinary coins into highly sought-after treasures. The coin featured in today's video is a 1979 UK 2 new pence, kept in. It's well used with a few minor scratches and the usual wear you'd expect from decades of use. The original shiny copper has darkened into a richer brown, and years of handling have left small marks on both sides. To someone who doesn't collect coins, it might just look like an old, worn-out penny, but for experienced collectors, they know the real story starts once you take a closer look. Back in 1979, Britain had already switched to decimal currency, and the two new pence had become a big part of daily life. People used them all the time for shopping, public transport, newspapers, and lots of little purchases. Because these coins changed hands so much, many got scratched, darkened, and worn down. This heavy wear means that spotting coins with unique minting features can be especially exciting for collectors now. If you look closely at the front of the coin, you'll see the well-known portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Arnold Machin. His classy portrait was on British coins for years, and became one of the most familiar royal images in modern coin designs. Even on this well-worn coin, the Queen's profile is still easy to recognize, though the raised parts show some soft wear from all the handling over the years. Flip the coin over, and you'll see one of Britain's most famous designs, the Prince of Wales's badge, with 3 feathers coming out of a royal crown above a scroll. The German motto, Ich diene, means I serve. Underneath the design, it says 2 new pence, a nod to Britain's decimal currency system that had just replaced the old pre-decimal coins. Like the 1 penny coin, this coin was made from bronze, giving it a warm coppery look when it first came out of the Royal Mint. But over more than 40 years, bronze naturally changes. Air, moisture, pockets, purses, and all the everyday handling slowly change its color. The metal, some coins turn a chocolate brown, while others get darker shades and subtle toning that collectors really like when it happens naturally. The coin we're checking out today definitely shows it's been through a lot. You can see fine scratches all over the flat areas, especially where it rubbed against other coins while in use. The lettering is still clear, the edges are intact, and even though the raised parts of the design have worn down a bit, the coin still looks good overall. This is where it gets really interesting. Most collectors don't look for these coins because they think every one of them is worth a lot. They look because each coin might have something unique about it. Before setting aside a 1979 2 new pence, seasoned collectors take a close look at the date, the letters, the edges, and every detail under bright light. That little bit of extra checking has uncovered some pretty amazing finds over time. Collectors have been hunting for real Royal Mint mistakes like off-center strikes, die cracks, chips, clipped edges, strike-through errors, broad strikes, and other odd versions. They also look closely at the lettering, rim alignment, and how well the coin was struck compared to others from the same year, since small differences can sometimes point to a coin worth checking out. Picture opening an old coin album that belonged to your mom, dad, or grandparent. Inside the pages, you spot several. 2 brown 2 pence coins from the late 1970s. One grabs your attention because the design seems a bit off, or maybe the lettering looks bolder than the others. You pull out a magnifying glass and start checking every little detail. That simple spark of curiosity is exactly how lots of collectors find coins they might have missed otherwise. It's one of the reasons collecting coins is still so exciting. You don't always need fancy gear or a rare collection to come across something cool. Discovery, sometimes all you need is patience, a keen eye, and the willingness to check every coin before writing it off as ordinary. Just because a coin been tossed around a lot doesn't mean collectors lose interest. In fact, plenty of major mint errors have been found on coins that were in everyday use for years. Collectors understand that minting mistakes happen during production, not after a coin been in someone's pocket. Even a worn coin can still have a unique trait that makes it special. Stand out from millions of others. If your 1979 UK 2 new pence coin shows a real mint-made error or a rare variety, it could be worth getting it checked out by a pro. Authentic, top-notch examples with major royal mint mistakes have fetched impressive prices, with some rare collector's items selling for over £5,600 when rarity, condition, and demand all line up. Finds like these remind collectors that even an old bronze coin can sometimes steal the show. If you come across a cool coin, try not to clean it. Sure, a shiny coin might look better, but cleaning can cause tiny scratches and get rid of the original look that collectors love. Just leave the coin as it is, hold it by the edges, and keep it safe in a protective case. If you think you've found a real mint mistake, you might want to get it checked by a trusted grading service or an expert coin collector. Expert, a professionally graded coin, usually sells more easily through trusted coin dealers, well-known auction houses, or reliable online coin sites where serious collectors look for rare British coins. The story of the 1979 2 new pence teaches us that hidden treasures aren't always made of gold or silver. Sometimes, they're just simple bronze coins that millions of people ignored for years. So next time you come across one, take a moment to examine it closely. Because even the tiniest detail can change everything. But the next coin flips the whole story around. The 1979 UK 5 new pence shows that a small coin can still grab serious collectors' attention. Its size usually works against it. People toss it into coin jars, forget about it in old wallets, or leave it in drawers for years without a second thought. Still, some collectors spend hours combing through these coins because they know that every now and then, one of them really stands out. Here's the rest. Today's coin is a 1979 UK 5 new pence with Queen Elizabeth II on it, showing somewhere from being used but still in pretty good shape. The crown on her portrait is a bit flattened, and there's a soft golden tan starting to form around the edge after all these years. These little signs of wear don't hide the coin's story, they reveal it. This coin, been passed from hand to hand, changed hands at countless shops, and quietly seen everyday life all over the UK. By 1979, the 5 new pence had become one of Britain's most common coins. It was part of everyday life in a way most people barely noticed. Whether buying a paper, paying for a bus, or getting change after a small purchase, this coin was always passing from one pocket to another. Since so many were made and used, hardly anyone thought they'd ever be worth collecting. That's exactly why collectors like hunting for them now. The front side shows Arnold Machin's well-known portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. The design is loved for its simple elegance and impressive detail. Even after years of being handled, the Queen's profile is still easy to spot. On this coin, the top parts of the crown are a bit worn down from decades of use, but the letters around it are still sharp, showing the high quality of the original minting. Flip the coin over and you'll see the beautiful crown thistle, a classic flower symbol of Scotland. The design is straightforward but packed with charm. The coin, with 5 new pence proudly written below, is pretty small, but the Royal Mint packed a lot of detail into its tiny design. Unlike the bronze pennies and 2 pence coins we've talked about, the 5 new pence was made from cupronickel, so it has a silver-grey look instead of a coppery color. Over time, this metal starts to change, little scratches show up, and the shiny mint finish begins to wear off. Natural tunning can show up around the edges. In today's example, that soft golden tan around the rim gives the coin a warm look that a lot of collectors really like because it developed naturally over many years. One common mistake beginners make is thinking a circulated coin can't be valuable. Experienced collectors know that's not true. Signs of wear just tell part of the coin's story. What really matters is whether the coin has something unique that sets it apart from the thousands of others made. During that year, inspections always start with patience. Collectors carefully spin the coin under bright light, checking the portrait, the lettering, the edge, and every little detail. Then they compare it to another coin from the same year. Most coins seem totally normal, but sometimes one shows an unusual feature that catches their eye. Collectors are always on the lookout for real Royal Mint production mistakes, like die cracks, chips, clipped blanks, off-center strikes, strike-through errors, broad strikes, weak strikes, and other mint-made varieties. Sometimes a tiny raised line from a cracked die or a unique striking flaw is enough to turn a regular coin into a cool collector's item. Picture yourself at a local antique market on a slow weekend. One dealer has a small tray of mixed British coins, and almost everyone just walks right by. You decide to take a closer look. You spend a few minutes flipping through them anyway. As you sort through the pile, one 1979 5 new pence coin catches your eye because the design looks a bit different from the rest. You hold it up to the light, compare the letters, and start checking out every little detail. Right then, the hunt feels way more exciting than just buying the coin. Moments like this are why coin collecting has stayed popular for generations. Every collection begins with curiosity, and every cool find starts with someone just taking a closer look. Take a second look instead of rushing to decide. Natural originality matters a lot too. That light golden color around the edge of this coin came from decades of careful agging. Lots of collectors love this natural finish because it shows the coin's true history. If someone had polished it until it was bright and shiny again, a lot of its original charm would be lost forever. That's why experts almost always say the same thing: never clean an old coin. Even light polishing can leave tiny scratches that make collectors less interested. Original surfaces are usually preferred because they keep the coin just as time left it. If your 1979 5 new pence seems to have a real mint error or a rare variety, getting it professionally authenticated could be a good idea. Notable Royal Mint errors from this time still grab collectors' attention, and rare, authenticated pieces have sold for over £6,900 when they're both rare and original. Strong collector demand and rare examples came together. While these cases are uncommon, they show collectors why it's always worth taking a close look. If you decide to keep a cool coin, store it safely in a non-PVC holder or an archival quality flip, and try not to touch the surfaces. If you decide to sell it later, trusted coin dealers, reputable auction houses, and reliable numismatic marketplaces are usually the best places to find knowledgeable buyers. Collectors who really know their stuff. The biggest takeaway from this tiny 5 new pence coin is that size doesn't matter much in coin collecting. Some of the smallest coins often hold the coolest surprises, and every year collectors find new varieties that were missed for decades, just because someone took a closer look. And now we're at the last coin in today's countdown, the one that lots of collectors remember as soon as they see it. Unlike the round coins we've looked at, this one's shape really grabs your attention right away. Even after more than 40 years, people all over the UK still know it the second it's in their hand. This is a 1979 UK 50 new pence coin with Queen Elizabeth II on it. Even though millions were made, some have turned out to be more interesting than their face value suggests. The coin we're looking at today is a 1979 UK 50 new pence that's been used. It has some scratches from years of handling, noticeable wear on the highest points of Queen Elizabeth II's tiara, and a soft golden tan tone naturally developing across parts of the surface. To a lot of people, it just looks like a worn-out 50p coin that's been rattling around in pockets for years. But seasoned collectors know the coolest finds often start with coins that seem totally ordinary. Back in 1979, this coin was a big part of everyday life in Britain. It was one of the biggest decimal coins around and was used for shopping, getting around, eating out, and loads of daily buys. Since it was worth more than the smaller coins, plenty of them stayed in use for years before finally disappearing, ending up in piggy banks, old collections, and forgotten drawers. Nowadays, collectors are going through those same coins one by one, hunting for something unique. The front of the coin shows the well-known portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, made by Arnold Machin. His image became one of the most recognizable ones ever used on British coins and stayed on coins in everyday use for many years. Even on this well-worn coin, the Queen's portrait is still clear. The shape is elegant, though the highest points of the tiara have worn down a bit after years of use. The letters around it are still sharp, showing the Royal Mint's impressive craftsmanship. Flip the coin over, and you'll instantly recognize the famous seated figure of Britannia holding a trident with a lion sitting beside her. This classic design has stood for Britain's strength and heritage through generations. Even after all this time in circulation, Britannia still stands strong as one of the most iconic images. One of the most admired designs ever put on a British coin. The 50p's 7-sided shape makes it stand out, so people can spot it instantly without even checking the design. Unlike the bronze 1p and 2p coins, the 50p is made from cupronickel, giving it that silver-grey look. Over time, as it gets used, the metal changes a bit, small marks show up, light scratches form from bumping into other coins, and natural tunning starts to appear around the parts that get less wear. The design, the soft golden tan color you see on today's example, comes naturally from agging and how it was stored, and a lot of collectors love that because it shows the coin's true history. Experienced collectors know that just because a coin shows signs of wear from being used, it doesn't mean it's not interesting. Actually, many important finds have been made on coins that looked worn out and plain. The real fun starts when you look past the surface. That's exactly what goes on with a 1979 50 pence coin. Collectors usually start by checking the date, then the lettering, the rims, and every little detail of Britannia's design. Using strong light and magnifying glasses, they carefully look for anything that seems off compared to a regular coin. Most coins turn out to be totally ordinary, but every collector knows that rare finds often show up when you least expect them. Some collectors hunt for genuine Royal Mint production errors like off-center hits, cracks in the die, chips on the die, strike-through mistakes, clipped coins, broad strikes, weak strikes, and other odd varieties. Some people compare a bunch of coins from the same year, checking out differences in how well they were struck, how worn the die is, how clear the letters are, or how the rim lines up. Every comparison shows you something new, and sometimes one coin really stands out from the rest. Picture going to a weekend car boot sale and spotting an old tin filled with mixed British coins, just sitting on a table for a few quid. Pounds, most folks just walk right by without a second glance, but you decide to take a closer look. As you dig through the pile, a 1979 50 pence coin catches your eye. It's clearly worn, but something about the strike feels a bit off. Instead of tossing it back, you hold it up to the light and start checking out every detail of the design. That quick choice to take a better look could be the beginning of an exciting collector's journey. Moments like these show why coin collecting is still a favorite hobby worldwide. Some of the most fun hobbies. Every coin has its own unique journey through history. Some spent years sitting in cash registers. Others were forgotten in drawers for decades. A few end up showing something surprising that no one had noticed before. Original surfaces are especially important when collectors look at older British coins. A lot of people think polishing an old coin makes it more valuable, but usually it's the opposite. Cleaning takes away the natural surface that's formed over many years and often leaves tiny scratches that permanently hurt its value to collectors. That soft, golden look on today's coin shows part of its history, and keeping that original look is usually way better than trying to make the coin look brand new. If you think you've found a rare 1979 50 pence, don't clean it no matter what. Always hold the coin by its edges and store it in a good coin holder or archival flip. Proper storage keeps it from getting more wear. Moisture, fingerprints, and environmental damage can affect a coin. If it looks like it has a real mint error or a rare variety, it's a good idea to have it checked out by a trusted grading service or an expert coin collector. Getting it professionally authenticated helps figure out if the odd feature happened during minting or just from wear over time. Coins that are certified often get more attention from buyers because their authenticity and condition have already been verified. When it's time to sell an interesting coin, collectors usually get the best deal by working with trusted coin dealers, well-known auction houses, reputable online coin marketplaces, or respected coin shows where buyers know the value of genuine royal mint varieties and errors. Taking clear photos, keeping any grading certificates, and honestly describing the coin also helps build trust with buyers. Even an ordinary circulated 1979 50 pence coins are pretty common, but everything changes when a major verified mint error or an exceptional collector's piece turns up. Rare mistakes from the Royal Mint and top-notch certified coins have sold for over 8,000 in the specialist collector market. This just goes to show how rarity, authenticity, high demand, and expert verification can totally boost a coin appeal to collectors, as we've seen with today's 4 Queen. When it comes to Elizabeth II coins, there's one thing that really stands out. Never judge a coin just by how it looks at first. A dark penny, a scratched 2 pence, a worn 5 pence, or an old 50 pence might seem pretty ordinary at first, but each one holds decades of history and might hide something special. So next time you get old British coins in your change, inherit a family collection, or find a jar full of loose coins, take a little extra time to check them out before you stash them away. Take a good look at the date, check out the design, look over the edges, compare one coin to another. These simple steps are how lots of collectors have uncovered their coolest finds. Maybe the next amazing Queen Elizabeth II coin isn't tucked away in some museum or a pricey collection. Maybe it's been sitting quietly in an old drawer for years, just waiting for someone curious enough to pick it up, flip it over, and finally notice what everyone else missed.